The number one thing women are looking for. Subtitle: Find the only key that unlocks the hearts of women by S.O Piennes. Introduction. Up until now, the number one thing women are looking for can be rounded up into one thing: security. This will be discussed at length in this book. Security is the number one thing every woman is looking for, and you will see that in their thinking, in their talking, and in their acting. Women express all the time this singular thing. When you see them do certain things and you wonder why they do them, it is because of this thing. When you also wonder why they could go extra mile to do some things and won't even bother to do some other things, it is because of this singular factor. Okay, so to be on the same page concerning this topic, let's look at what security is. According to the Oxford Online Dictionary, security is defined as the state of being free from danger or threats. We can also define it as an assurance that something is or will be, the confidence that you have that something exists and it will never be changed. In other words, when there is security for something, you are confident that nothing will happen to it and it will be safe. Women want security. They want to be confident that something is available, reliable, and unchangeable. They want to believe that nothing will bring them fear or doubt in the future. That is why they always want to know. Many people don't know that women are more curious than men. You see, women only express their curiosity in a different, subtle way. For instance, you can be talking to a woman and she's curious about how rich you are. So she asks you. So she can ask you, what job do you do for a living? If you answer her, she can guesstimate your financial capacity from there. If you don't, she can assess your outfit and belongings and see how much they cost and the quality. So all this would satisfy her curiosity, coupled with high intuition that she has to judge your elements. Okay, so majority of men get information by asking. Majority of women get information by observing. So again, that is why it is easier for women to dictate lies more than men. Okay, because they do that mostly by intuition. Men dictate lies by facts, women dictate lies by intuition. And all this boils down to the fact that women don't want to be put in the dark concerning anything. And that is why their number one pursuit is always security. Men over the years have struggled and toiled to understand women. They've done a lot of research and did a lot of things, but not much has been achieved, at least to the level that they want. Women are still by far a riddle to men. Okay, they disappoint them at every single conclusion they arrive at. Women became an enigma or phenomenon that is difficult to deal with and understand. The mystery behind the nature of women became more and more elusive, to the extent that most men are already giving up on their case. They are now looking for alternatives in forms of other men, man-made female robots, and female objects, female sexual objects. Thus, in consequence, has affected relationships, marriages, and different human affairs. Some men have gone ahead to divorce their wives. Many have separated or gone to look for another woman while they kept their wives at home. Some young men have even decided not to marry. It's such a problematic issue now in the event of life. While it is not a difficult thing to love women or fall in love with them, with any of them, it is sometimes difficult for men to keep that love. They found it so hard to meet the needs of women and take care of them. Many men who have succeeded in their careers and businesses have failed woefully in their marriages, perhaps because of lack of this understanding. Someone like Elon Musk, a business mogul and the CEO of 3 companies, who has achieved a lot in his business career. He has married and divorced 3 times, 3 good times. Jack Welch, the former chairman and CEO of General Electric, divorced 2 times. His second divorce cost him a whopping $100 million. Rupert Murdoch, the chairman and CEO of News Corp, a man who is highly successful business-wise, has divorced 3 times. His second divorce with Anna Murdoch, now Anna Mann, cost him $1.7 billion. $1.7 billion. Roman Abramovich, the owner of Millhouse and Chelsea football club, has also divorced 3 times. He paid £50 million to his former wife Irina and transferred 4 luxury homes he had in the UK to her, including one £18 million success estate. We can go on and on, giving examples of different high-profile, successful businessmen who have failed in their relationships with women. Now, while we can rule out mistakes and the inevitables, there are many things that we can avoid if we know how to. Divorce or failed relationship is one of them. It's part of them. I've not seen a woman or man who wants to go into marriage or long-term relationship because they want to divorce. Such person was never interested in the first place. But everyone who goes into marriage hopes that their relationship will work and they will be happy with each other. But when the inevitable happens, things fell apart. And the challenge most times is no party wants to accept the blame or take responsibility. Everybody wants to go their separate ways. And when that happens, it could cost a lot, as we've seen. Not just financially, but also with children and family posterity. Probably, to make the problem easier for men to deal with, women have once come out to tell their needs. Okay? And men have sought to understand them. But it seems the needs women claim to have are really not what they need. Because men are not finding it funny to have women still remain unsatisfied after meeting those needs. The needs seem superficial and flimsy that men hardly notice they are a big deal for women. Okay? And when we wrap all these needs in one word, it is called security. Just to express their frustration, some men have actually asked the question, what exactly do these women want? What do they need? The problem is just too much. And when you've not had them, you'll be craving them day and night to have them. You'll be craving day and night to have them. The moment you have them, you will also be craving day and night to leave them. You see that? So it seems like one is in an unending cycle of failure and frustration. But in the real sense of it, that is quote and unquote, but in the real sense of it now, are women this cruel? Are they really intentionally wanting to frustrate men? Can men not really satisfy them? Or is there still something men are not getting here? These and other questions will be answered in this book. You will understand unequivocally what women want and need, starting from the very number one thing that they are looking for. And once they found this, it will usher them to open up and express to you every other thing they need and want. The needs and wants of women have not gone beyond what men can handle. But men need to understand this very well before they can meet them and satisfy women in their lives. The desire of women is that at every point in time in their lives, their needs is met and they have men in their lives who will care for them and love them for who they are. They want men who will not just judge or criticize them, but love and cherish them. In all of these concepts, we will also consider the corollary of this subject, which will be the number one thing that women are never looking for. The number one thing that we could say women hate and will find every means to avoid. Okay, in which case understanding of this will help men to know how to handle issues with women. Perhaps men unknowingly have been using this wrong tool to relate with women, and they've been having hard time relating with them and wondering what exactly is going on. If this wrong tool is applied, women will run no matter how much they love. Okay, and this is what some men don't understand. They will say, oh, but this woman claims to love me, why is she behaving this way? Okay, quote and unquote. Because you are applying the wrong tool. Okay, you are giving her exactly what she is not looking for, and she hates that most. Okay, so, and that is why she will leave you for another man who can give her exactly what she's looking for. Understanding women could be one of the easiest things to do, as against the popular belief that women are hard to understand or deal with. And part of this challenge most times has been the environmental conditioning and wrong societal ideology about the nature of women. As many will say, oh, women are not stable, they are too emotional, they are not reliable, and so on. Okay, and all these bad expressions about women have made them to see themselves as being pretenders. They see themselves as who they are not, and many have lost their self-esteem and self-value, all because of what the society has communicated to them. They have become more and more frustrated by the day because they don't know the best way to convince the society or change their minds on the wrong notion they have about them. That is why we have many women-made organizations today that have capitalized their goals on gender equality, fight for women's rights, and avoidance of gender discrimination. A lot has been happening in the past few years about women and the society, and how many aspects of facets of life have been affected because of this. This issue has cut across the political, economic, social, marital, religious, academic, environmental, business, and other walks of life. Women have decided to fight for their own cause and express themselves in taking responsibilities and actions. The nature of women is such that they could keep enduring things for a long time, but the moment they refuse, it could be hard to stop them. They are more or less easy to change but difficult to unchange kind of beings. And when we compare to men, men are far more hard to change but easy to unchain kind of being. So they are mostly like opposites of women. So this, in consequence, has made understanding the nature of women harder for men, and being able to feel the pains, it made it difficult. Okay, so this in consequence has made understanding the nature of women harder for men, and not being able to feel the pains and worries of women. In this book, you will learn how to resolve all these conflicts and understand the number one thing that women are looking for, and why it is necessary to give them if you will enjoy a good life with them. Okay, S.O PIENS, December 2021. End of introduction. Chapter 1. Physical security. In the evening of one Wednesday, Kate was coming back from work. She had just texted a friend of her coming to her place before she head on to her own house. There was going to be a chit-chat. Kate entered the train station and stood at the platform to wait for the train. Standing behind her was a guy who she didn't know. She noticed subtle, suspicious movements this guy was making, and she was wondering what he was up to. When the train arrived, she entered and he followed her to her seat. Then he approached her and started talking to her. Kate wasn't in for any discussion, so she started feeling uncomfortable. Then she decided to stand up and stayed by the aisle where many people were standing. The guy followed her and continued to hug her. That was when she began to realize something was going on. She started feeling more uncomfortable. Incidentally, another guy entered the train from the next station. As he entered, he noticed discomfort on Kate's countenance. He walked up to her and asked, is there any problem? I'm fine. It's just this guy beside me that is making me uncomfortable, she said. She lamented. Immediately, the disturbing guy drew back, wanted not to be noticed because the new guy was physically stronger and taller than him. The guy calmly told her, oh, don't worry, I will stand beside you, looking at the messy guy with derision. The stronger guy stayed with Kate till she got to a train station and disembarked together, and he accompanied her to her friend's house. Kate was so happy and thanked the stronger guy for his sacrifice. Alright, so women need physical security, as we've seen in the story. They are always suspicious and wary of attacks or assaults all the time. So they are not comfortable when they are with men they don't trust. Girls naturally cling to their fathers because they offer them both provision and protection, and they are the men they could trust most. So girls naturally love their fathers, and fathers also look after their girls. When you hear women talk about wanting a man who has a hefty body shape, 6 feet tall, a big chest, a strong muscles and bones, you know it's all about one thing they are looking for. All these features in men connote one thing: physical security. A man with a hefty body build can physically secure his woman against enemies and predators. His look alone can scare them away, and she can rest comfortably in his bosom. She can be confident that if enemies come, they will not overcome her. A man will fight and win them. That is so interesting. Even many women don't know this desire in them is instinctive. It is not just what they want, it is what they need based on their nature. So it is inherent in them to crave for physical security in any man that they believe could offer it. Though having all the physical features might not indicate a man can physically secure a woman, it is a first line of attraction when women are selecting mates. As it stands to reason, women want a man who would be able to take care of them and their offspring. They don't want to marry a man who is weak and feeble, so that when the enemies come, they will be able to survive and resist the attack. Physical security is also connected to the evolutionary development of mankind. When man was still in the forest and caves and were highly vulnerable to attacks by the wild animals and predators, the only thing man could need at those times was physical security. And so the ones that will survive are the ones that have the physical strength and ability to resist the attack from the predators and survive the hordes of the environment. Physical security is at the heart of women. They think about it, they talk about it, and of course they want it. Sometimes if a woman is satisfied with every other thing that a man has, and she is not satisfied with her physical security with a man, she could look for an alternative. The physical security directly affects her body, which we all know, if attacked, could cause damage to her health. So some women have been physically abused because there was no able man around them during the time of attack. They were left alone in the ordeal and put to despair. Women dread those things, especially when it involves attack on their body. We know every part of a woman's body is delicate, from the vertex of her head to the tip of her toes. They are all vulnerable. Okay? And to add insult to the injury, most of the physical attacks done to women are connected to their emotional and sexual health, as in terms of rapes and sexual assaults. And many of these happen in developing countries. In some societies, women have been tagged objects of weaker vessels. To note something very important here, when we say women's body is delicate, it doesn't mean they are weaker vessels, because that is addressing their entire identity. Women are not weaker vessels because of their body. They are strong internally and can withstand pressure. but to understand that their body is not like that of men, which we know is more rugged and thicker. Everyone is designed to be able to handle different functions and modalities that they are created for. Women are essentially caregivers, nurturers, and mothers. And so, handling issues that pertain to men could overburden them. Not to say they are not physically strong as we've established, but to understand that it is part of what they need to survive as a people. So understanding their body nature is important to give them the physical security they need. While this is not to call for male bodyguards on women, it is to understand that women need in physical terms. Women needs in physical terms, and it is to understand what women need in physical terms and are longing for. A society that is safe and free of abusive men will be highly conducive and growth enhancing for women. And to achieve this, there must be a good governance and security apparatus in place. End of chapter 1. Chapter 2, financial security. Okay, so Susan was on her way home. She just broke up with her boyfriend. He has been using and molesting her for every reason, particularly because she was not well to do. I mean, she came from a poor background while he came from a rich family. She made up her mind that she would give all it takes to be financially free. She would not subject herself to such molestation again, simply because a man is helping her financially. She's yet to marry though. She graduated from the university about 3 years ago, and she has been looking for a job. Our boyfriend she just left has been with her for the past 5 years, but she has been enduring so many things during those years, including times when he would just call her, when he would just call her for no reason to go somewhere, barging on her house without invitation or pre-notice, and all kinds of subtle domineering behaviors. But Susan wouldn't worry much about all of that, since he is her boyfriend. And but the last straw that actually broke the camel's back was his physical assault on her. He would utter negative words without apology and expected her to come back and say sorry. She noticed he's taking advantage of her financial situation because he sometimes helps her financially. So Susan has already made up her mind. I will find every way to make it in life, she said, quote and unquote. When job was not forthcoming, she started thinking of the alternative. She had sometimes learned how to sew, dress, and repair clothes. So she thought of using that skill to help people around who might need her help. She got a sewing machine and she started informing people around the neighborhood about her sewing and clothes amendments. So she was going from house to house informing people of her new vocation. Not long enough, people started giving their clothes to sew for them. They started giving her their clothes to sew for them, including those that need repairs. Men too brought their own clothes that need sort of slim fitting and adjustments. Susan started making money from this small vocation, and before she knew it, she has rented a shop outside where more people were coming to sew and repair the clothes. Later on, the work was getting overwhelming, so she employed 2 people to work with her. Her revenue surged to the extent that she could maintain her shop and as well settle her newly employed workers. Now, Susan could take care of herself, buy whatever she wants, and make good savings from her income. Not long enough, she added more training to her fashion skills and went to a fashion school. Between 2 to 5 years, Susan's business has become a household name and a brand that everyone wants to associate with. She started having branches in other locations, and more customers were contacting her and reaching her through her other locations. Now, Susan is grossing per year on average $250,000, and in no time she will become a millionaire because she's already on her way there. From going from house to house to becoming a mega fashion brand, that everyone wants to associate with. Susan made her business work, starting from the scratch. Sometime later, she found another boyfriend and they decided to get married. Susan's husband had a good job and he also had a business. Susan was managing both her business and her husband's business. So her husband was a career type, so he was able to focus on his career while Susan manages his business. They later had 2 children, and not long enough, the couple had become a multi-millionaire in net worth, and they are both living a happy and fulfilled lives. Part of the most essential things that women need is money, and it is under the subject of financial security. Every woman wants to be financially secured. Apart from what is general to everybody on earth, women have a unique approach and understanding about money. Money for them is security. It is what protects them from shame and embarrassment. There's not too much money for women. They can have as many as it's available. Take a look at what money can buy in life and you realize why women love money. Money has a magic name in the ears of women. It is what they, in their own opinion, cannot do without. And when men sometimes squander money or don't know where they put their money, women wonder why that could be. There's something important to note here. While money is value for men, it is security for women. And we can expatiate on that. Okay? Now, let's look at this. Money being a value for men means everything men connect with money is value. In other words, men will only do transactions with money when it involves value. They can only get or give money when they feel there's value involved. For instance, a man who pays $200 to sleep with a prostitute knows in his mind that he's giving his money to get a value from the woman, sex. While sex may not mean a lot to women, it means a lot to men, and they can give anything for it. So when men are exchanging their money with someone, they are seeing value involved because men see money as value. Now, in the case of women, it's a little bit different. Women don't only see money as value, they see it as a security. In other words, it is what protects them from danger. It is what saves them from embarrassment, shame, begging, lack, insufficiencies, and so on. Women are well satisfied and have peace of mind when they have money in their bank accounts. They are happy and excited when money issue is no longer their problem. A recent statistics about money reveal that 1 in 2 people that have financial problems also have mental problems, which means lack of money is an easy access to mental problems. And women in this case are more susceptible. They are the ones who need money more. They have a lot of things to buy, from basic maintenance of their body to hygiene when they are doing their monthly period, to feeding, to clothing, to makeups, to shelter and comfort, and so many other things. And for those that are mothers, they also have children to cater for and look after their well-being. Women are never tired of buying new things. That is why an average woman who is relatively financially stable or comfortable will have at least 10 pairs of shoes and 50 to 100 pieces of clothes. They are never tired of new outfits. Whatever will befit them and make them look nice is all that goes well with them. And that is why money matters for them is something never to be joked with. Financial security for women is one key security that every man must seek to provide women. As a man, if you want to have peace in your home, you better secure your wife financially. 22% of divorces happen because of money, which means if there is no money in the family, there will be less problem. Which means if there's money in the family, there will be less problem that could lead to divorce in the marriage. Yes, There's a place for love in a marriage, but you cannot. But can you express love? Can you express that love without money? Love is not just what you say with your mouth. It is what you do with your action. A family where there is no money, people will lack and go hungry. And part of what women hate is to see their children or loved ones suffer. Poverty or lack of money is not good in a family. It actually spoils the show. Right from time immemorial, the major thing that attracts a woman to a man is resources. What is majorly in form of money? Which is majorly in form of money. So a woman is attracted to a man with money because she wants financial security. She wants a man who is capable financially to cater for her needs and that of her offspring. Even though many women these days are attaining a good financial security by themselves, a huge number of women in the world are still living in abject poverty. They are still struggling to make ends meet and feed their children. There are more increased cases of single mothers, especially in the United States, because of high cases of teenage pregnancies and divorce rates. Again, with the increase in political, economic, and social instability around the world, all of these have put women in more risk of finding it difficult to come out of financial crisis and poverty. COVID-19 pandemic has definitely took a toll on financial state of many families around the world. Financial security topped the list among the most important things women need in this world. And if a woman is financially secured, it affects practically every other aspect of her life. She is more stable mentally and emotionally, and every other problem she has could be solved subsequently. Being educated, having access to good job, coming from a good family, living in a good country, marrying the right person, and so on, could actually increase a woman's probability of having a good financial security. End of chapter 2. Chapter 3. Economic security. This is close to financial security, but it is a little bit different. Economic security entails being able to be productive in a society, economic-wise, and add value to the market chain. When women think of what they can do to make themselves satisfied and valuable, maybe in monetary or non-monetary terms, we consider economic security. Women want to be secured economically, which means they want to be able to contribute to the production and consumption of value in the environment. They don't just want to sit down, but they want to see what they can do for themselves and for others, which will add value. Why it's not enough to have only money, there must be production of goods and services that money can be spent on. And naturally, as human beings, we crave to add value to our environment. We want to do something that will create value for others. During the last COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of people were laid off from their jobs, especially women. According to statistics, more women lost their jobs than men. Over 5.4 million jobs were assigned to women were lost during the pandemic and have not been recovered as at the time of writing this book. That was in the United States, I think. The job fields that were affected include health, education, transportation, food industries, restaurants, entertainment, and so on. And these are the industries that mostly employed women. And because of the pandemic, many women were laid off and became practically jobless. The implication of these is that this has affected the morale of women and has made many of them incapable to take care of their family and children. Economic security allows women to have a good job or business which could afford them the opportunity to add value to others. Women can have access to good education that will promote economic activities. They can buy, sell, learn, and use their skills, and even have the support of marketing and commerce industries. They are available infrastructures, government policies, and enabling environment that will make the economic vision of any woman possible. That is what it means to have an economic security. And this is important for every woman. If women are economically secured, they will be most likely financially secured, or at least not in financial crisis like we will see in a bad system. More women today in developing countries are yearning to leave their countries to a better country. Though this is general to men and women, but women feel more the economic crisis of any nation. So they are the ones who desire more to leave a bad system. Again, while men can struggle and maneuver their way through, it could be hard for women to also for a long time. Just as we know that women's nature is not designed for hard labor as we have seen in men, I mean men have the ruggedness and physical strength to pull through the hard times. A man, for instance, can pack his load and move to a location without much thinking or preparation. He might not think of where he will live or what he will wear or even what he will eat. Most men only think about those things when they need them, and they believe they will always figure something out. They can take such risk. They can easily approach and talk to strangers. They can live anywhere without much worries about security or safety. But this is far from what women can do, or rather, we want to do. Women would, before they do anything, think about it many times and consider the pros and cons. So they hardly take risks like men if it is not extremely necessary. Living in a system where there is no assurance of economic security puts women's mind in a more troubled state. They will want to find every way to come out of such system. Here is the case of Sandra, a 24-year-old lady who moved to another country searching for greener pastures. She has tried everything she could to look for a job but didn't find. She tried business, it didn't work. She became frustrated and was desperate to leave her country. She contacted one of her friends who she thought was doing well and asked her how she could go about her life. Sandra's friend told her she would link her to someone who will help her. So she was introduced to a man who will help her to travel to another country. She requested some amount of money. He requested for some amount of money, but she said she didn't have. So he told her there's no problem. He arranged the traveling and she eventually traveled. The journey took about 3 days by road, and she eventually got to the new country. When she got there, a woman was already waiting for her at the bus station. When she saw her, she recognized her and told her to follow her. So they both went to her place. When they got to her place, she asked Sandra, "Welcome. I hope you know what you're into." "Welcome. I hope you know what you're into." Sandra said, "Sorry ma, I don't understand." Is something wrong with your head? Can't you understand simple language?" The woman retorted. "I don't know what you're talking about, ma," she pleaded. "You don't know what? You don't know you're here for prostitution?" The woman asked. I don't know, ma," she replied, sobbing. "Something is wrong with you. You're pretending. Don't worry, you will start your job tomorrow," she said. My God, what have I entered?" Sandra kept sobbing and wailing, and the woman left her. Few hours later, she came back and put her in a room where she would stay. The room was as messy as anything you could think of. Sandra thought her life was over. She wouldn't know what to say or do. She felt that she had entered a prison that only God could save her. The following day, early in the morning, the woman came and asked her to take shower and dress up. Not eating since yesterday, Sandra wouldn't worry about that, but she was so depressed with the news she heard yesterday. After she finished, she was given something to eat, but she didn't eat. 2 hours after, a man came into the house and met with the woman. The woman negotiated the price she would collect per day and later brought Sandra to him. When the man saw her, he was very happy, but Sandra looked sober and confused. The woman said, "Hey, You're going with him. He will take care of you. Sandra remained speechless. She wouldn't know what to say. The man told her to follow him, and they went to his car and drove her home. When they got home, he was already heated, wanting to do something. He told Sandra to undress, looking bewildered and afraid. She gently removed her top, leaving her innerwear. When he saw how she was afraid, he told her, "I will take care of you. You should not be afraid of anything. I'm a good man, okay?" he exclaimed. Sandra was calm a bit, but still not sure what he was up to. Then he pulled her to himself and undressed her and began to caress and kiss her and eventually made love with her. Sandra wouldn't know where her mind was. She was so confused and depressed. She thought, what evil had she done to herself by taking the offer of traveling and living and looking for a greener pasture? She kept living with the man until a total ransom was paid to the woman. That took 3.5 years. It was so sad. When she finally left his place, she later found a job in a restaurant and was working there till she went back to her country. She regretted ever leaving her country and going to search for a greener pasture. Looking at the story of Sandra, it was such a pathetic one, considering the state of our country, which forced her to look for a better place. It is a failure of the leaders and massive corruption and criminality that are going on in many developing countries that are making the economy collapse and consequently causing lack of economic security for people, especially women. What happened to Sandra is what is happening to many girls all around the world, especially those from developing countries. When there is massive unemployment, lack of infrastructures, lack of basic amenities, bad governance, bad policies, and so on, this will discourage the youth from deploying their gifts and talent in their country, and many of them will want to leave and look for greener pastures unless something is done to pacify the situation. Women in a system when there is no economic security will either be frustrated or look for an alternative. End of chapter 3. Okay. Chapter 4, emotional security. Alright, so take a look at Lisa, a 24-year-old pop artist who lives in Los Angeles, California. She has been so overwhelmed in these past few days because of so many performances and shows she has been invited to. Her weekends in the next few months have remained booked, and our weekdays are in between studio rehearsals and recordings. But in all of these things, she also strives to have time for her boyfriend. She pleases him to the best of her ability, and she sometimes cancels some of her shows when they clash with her time with her boyfriend. So she puts him on her priority list. She shows him everything she's doing, but then, to her biggest surprise, she noticed he is not giving her attention. He shuts her down every time she expresses her mind and argues a lot on trivial, non-consequential things. The times when she feels exhausted and needed some rest, he will ask her to prepare food or go get something for him. She will not hesitate. She will do so just to make sure she satisfies him. When he's okay, he wouldn't stop to bother her for sex. With all of that, she wouldn't still refuse. She will give him. Then, when it gets to her turn to get attention and care, he will care less. He will pretend as if he doesn't know her concerns or what she's going through. He could be playing video games or chatting on phone when she's talking to him. It's such an awful attitude that she resented for a long time. Now the point is, Lisa wouldn't want to look at other guys who are calling her attention outside. I mean, she's got this guy at the studio where she rehearses who always listens to her and gave her all the attention she needs. And coupled with the fact that he also takes her out for lunch sometimes and buys her gifts. He is such an endearing and charming guy. While she thought about all of this, she knew she wasn't committed to that guy, but her boyfriend. But here is she is not being treated well by him. She kept enduring more and more until the last wrong he did. One day, Lisa came back from an outing and sat on the couch, exhausted. Her boyfriend was not around. Few moments later, he came back, saw her resting, but as his behavior, he wouldn't bother to ask about her outing or her day. He asked if she has prepared something for him. She told him she just came back not long ago, but he insisted she had come back earlier, accusing her of lying. Lisa was so disappointed. How could I be lying? Because of what? She felt disgusted. Because he wouldn't want to listen. But he wouldn't want to listen. All he knew was she came earlier and she didn't want to prepare food for him. Then the matter turned to argument and got heated up. Before Lisa knew it, he smashed her face with a plastic lid he was holding in his hand. She started sobbing and bleeding immediately. He wouldn't care about what he has done. He moved straight to the kitchen and started cooking. Lisa stayed in the living room crying and groaning in pains. From that moment onward, she made up her mind she wouldn't suffer or sacrifice anything for him again, and she's breaking up with him. Few days after, she moved out of his place and went to rent her own apartment. Later on, the guy she met in the studio noticed the changes in her disposition and asked her what was going on. She explained to him what her boyfriend did, and the guy consoled her and stayed with her all day. He also went to get some medications for her and got her health restored back. Lisa became so extremely attached to this new guy and decided to make him a new boyfriend. Looking at that story, you will see that emotional need is an essential part of women's nature and must be provided for if we want them to enjoy a happy life. We often say women are emotional, but many don't even understand, they don't even know what that statement means. If we say women are emotional, does that mean men are not also emotional? Or we are just emphasizing the nature of women? Being emotional is part of what every human being does, even including animals. But to understand that women are not just emotional, but they have an important need that must be met on emotional terms. That is what we are looking at in this chapter. Emotional security for women entails being able to understand the nature of women, being empathetic, and being emotionally intelligent. A woman will love any man who satisfies her emotionally, and we will explain that. What does it actually mean to satisfy a woman emotionally? Let's first look at what emotion means. Emotion, according to Oxford Online Dictionary, says it is a strong feeling deriving from one's circumstances, mood, or relationships with others. The second definition is an instinctive or intuitive feeling as distinguished from reasoning or knowledge. Now, looking at these definitions, we understand that emotion is something that is expressed. Examples of common emotions are happiness, sadness, fear, anger, disgust, surprise, and so on. There are different ways of categorizing emotions, from the basic ones to the advanced ones, which involve the combination of the basic ones. Emotions have never been needed in a world like we have today. With so many things going on around the world every second and minute, practically everyone is on an emotional roller coaster. This makes people who have emotional intelligence highly needed and employed. To understand that emotion is part of our being and it's what we express practically every time, with or without our knowing, is the beginning of understanding human nature and having emotional intelligence. Emotions are expressed feelings, which means there will be some feelings that are not expressed. These expressed feelings always go with energy, which is why we sometimes call them energy in motion, which is emotion. This energy in motion is an active kinetic energy that can be converted to something good. It's an energy that can be used to achieve success and reach the height of grand fulfillment. Women, being a special creature, need emotional security. What does this mean? It means they need people who will give them support with how they express their emotions. This is because of their nature. Women on average are emotionally labile, especially at the youthful age. This is because of their body physiologic system. The constant change in their hormonal and chemical levels in the body mandates change in their behavior and actions. This is not that women will be changing their behavior every second or just being weird or absurd. It is just to understand that women's nature is far beyond ordinary and is always susceptible to change based on change in their body physiologic systems. Coming from this understanding, we will realize that the need for emotional security by women is second to none and one that must be dealt with. It is the fact that the emotional needs of women for love and support, despite whatever they might be going through, is extremely important for them. Women go through many things that are even hard for them to describe. They experience a lot of things that only them can understand. But notwithstanding, they give men that allowance of not boggling them all the time with their issues. Yet, not many men have understood the slightest version of this women's nature. Then, for those who don't understand them, they will say they are too emotional. They don't understand that every time they make that statement, they are ridiculing or demeaning the nature of women, and they are showing lack of value or love for what it means to be a woman. How else do you want her to express herself if not her nature? What else do you want her to do when it's not her fault? Everything we have is for a purpose. Nothing is made without a purpose. And so, with this understanding, we've come to realize that the nature of women is about being more expressive with emotions, requires more security, lest their emotions are being used against them. And this is what some people are taking advantage of now. They are messing up with women's emotions. They are giving some women heartbreaks and heart attacks because of how they are damaging their emotions. Women need emotional security, and they have to get it if they will enjoy their life and live happily with people around them. End of chapter 4. Chapter 5. Social security. Apart from the fact that we are all social animals, we crave social connections, and women in particular love it. Social security is one thing that women would not want to miss, whether they are outgoing or not. They love the fact that they can reach out to people, they can connect with people, and people can also relate with them, and so on. Women appreciate men who can give them social security. In fact, they want them. They want men who have a good standing with people, men who have a high social capital. Women seeing men in this way means they will love to be with them. They will love such men to be their husbands, because if a woman has a man who can give her a good social security, it means she will be socially secured. She might not have problem with her reputation or public demeanor if she knows how to handle it. It means people will respect her and dignify her. Having a social security will also make her to be physically secure too. She will be part of those elites in the society. Also, her fear about people will disappear. She will not struggle or fight over situations. Social security makes women feel comfortable with strangers. They can easily talk and connect with them, and there won't be fear of attack or insecurity. Remember, security is a major thing for women, so it's important that they have it when they are with people, but they can panic or become anxious at the slightest absence of it. When a woman begins to feel suspicious of her environment, she will no longer be at peace, and she will find every way to be out of the place. Social security makes women feel comfortable with their social environment, and they don't panic over unnecessary things. When there's social security, women don't worry about racial or gender discrimination. They don't worry about gender inequality or social injustice. Everything that concerns human rights is never a problem for them, because they are in a place where there is security over human rights and well-being. Nations where there is collapse of social security, people go into criminality, the rates of social vices and corruption increases. People don't feel safe. They don't feel safe. And we know where there's no security, there's no growth or development. People don't feel secure to do anything. They can't go to their work, they can't focus their mind on anything because there's chaos. Social security is definitely part of what women are looking for, and they will appreciate anyone who acknowledges that and is able to offer it to them. Okay, that was so short. That is the end of chapter 5. Chapter 6, spiritual security. Spiritual security is of utmost importance to women. You will see that in how they handle spiritual or religious things. Women think things about God seriously. I mean, seriously. You have no idea how women really, treat spiritual or religious things. I've experienced a lot. Every time you talk about God, Jesus, prayers, all those things, as we're gonna see in this chapter. Okay, let's go on. They go to church often more than men. They are more committed to religious things. They pray a lot. They do everything that they know will guarantee their spiritual security. They are always in the midst of trying to please God and the most important person in their life on earth, who has more kind of spiritual connection. If a woman is brought up in a religious way, hardly can you change her mind on what she's already believed, unless something other happens to her that will change her mind. She will hardly believe anything that is against the tenets of what she has already believed for years. She might even sacrifice some things when it comes to her relationship with God, depending on how religious she is. She just believes spirituality is important in everything she does. She can pray many times a day. She can read her religious text every day. She can do everything that she knows will please God and make Him happy towards her. Women are just so dynamic in their thinking when it comes to spiritual things. They think more about security than men. At times, they wonder if men will ever understand some things, and in their minds, they've already concluded they will not. Part of the evidence of women being more security conscious, now spiritually security conscious than men, is the ability to perceive danger faster than men and know the potential predators or dangerous agents in men's territory. Because women's understanding about security and how paramount it is to them, they've been able to secure for themselves longer life than men. At least on average, women live longer than men. It has been shown statistically that married women live longer than their husbands. You may wonder why, but part of the reasons is that women take less risk than men. They would rather avoid or prevent risk than to try them. Anything involving risk or signs of danger or threats, women are ready to avoid. They prefer to go later somewhere and avert danger than to risk going early and face problems. Another important thing to note when it comes to this spiritual security for women is conscience. Conscience has to do with the feeling of what is right or wrong, or what is good or bad. Women on average tend to feel more guilt or condemnation about things than men. I mean, I've heard a couple of women told me how they usually feel guilty about some things that are kind of ridiculous. You wonder, are you feeling guilty about this? Why are you feeling guilty about this? Just say like they are feeling guilty. So it tells you their connection with spiritual things. Always thinking of their conscience. thinking about God, their actions, how they behave, whether they behave right or wrong. So things that have to do with conscience. Yeah. So they tend to feel more guilt or condemnation about things than men. If anything, this same bad happens to them, they could easily connect it to God being angry at them or the repercussion of something they did wrong sometimes ago. They could cry and wail for years, beating and condemning themselves for what is never their fault. They could also allow guilt feeling to affect their relationship with people. All this could not be sensitive about spiritual matters. A woman could believe so much her pastor or prophet more than her husband. She may think, as far as God is concerned, her pastor is more important than her husband, whereas her pastor has got no right on her spiritually, but her husband. But she doesn't just know this. When it comes to spiritual security, there's no need to be careful about what is. Now, there's need to be careful about what is said to women, especially by religious leaders, because of how they seek spiritual security. They believe easily these men, and sometimes they fall into their traps of being taken advantage of and extorting their situations. These religious leaders could speak wrong words to them or prophesy negative things, just to make sure they put them under their spell. This is not good, and it doesn't provide women spiritual security. It doesn't even make women happy. It doesn't make them live happy lives. Like, why are you doing that? Men that are just so cruel, so wicked, in the name of religion, in the name of God, putting women under their spell. There are many bad things that have been done to women on this, especially in developing countries. In Africa, women have been maltreated in the name of religion. They've been assaulted, they've been sexually assaulted, abused in the name of religion. Because women seek spiritual security. They want to be secure spiritually. They want God to be pleased with them. They want God to be happy with them. And so they go meet prophets, they go meet pastors, hoping that these ones are going to help them. But they are adding more insult to injury. They are making things worse for them. They are collecting their money, collecting their dignity, collecting their value, making them useless. It's ridiculous. Sometimes you even see some women just working for these pastors without being compensated, without being paid, just working as slaves. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So we should not take advantage of women seeking spiritual security, because now we understand their nature, that they need this spiritual security. So we can better explain to them how they can be secured in God without running after pastors and prophets. I mean, when a woman understands that, okay, God that I'm looking for in any pastor is already in me, I don't need to look for God outside. God is already in me, and I can build that relationship with Him, with God in me. I can have that connection, that companionship, that communion, that fellowship with God without having to go to any pastor. You see, all these charlatans, all these devilish people all over the place, taking advantage of women. So this must be stopped, and women must be taken care of. Not in the sense that maybe they are weak or they are helpless or powerless, but to just understand this concept of spiritual security, that it is what they need, it is what they yearn for, and it's what this should be given. Very important. Okay, so one thing women also do as individuals is that they try as much as possible to be conscious about other people's feelings. Okay, they do things cautiously and carefully to avoid erring or hurting other people's feelings. When they are among themselves, you see how they talk, relate, and do things. They believe in harmonious relationships, which also help their spiritual life. Okay, so they just feel like, oh, I don't have any issue with anybody. I'm clear in my mind. I don't have any problem with anybody. So that means God is pleased with me. That means God is happy with me. That kind of thing. Yeah. So they love peace, happiness, joy, and all the fruits of the spirit. They hardly engage in physical fights like men do, but they fight with their words and emotions. They avoid situations that could physically damage their body, as we've mentioned in chapter 1, and they, in every sense of it, hate embarrassment and try to avoid it at all costs. End of chapter 6. Chapter 7. Psychological security. The tick-tock sound of the clock alerted me to spare its resting figure on the wall a glance. Thank goodness for the invention of modern clocks. I cannot imagine how I would have tolerated the charming sound of when the hour and strikes 12. Chewing on my nails nervously, I refreshed my inbox folder for the umpteenth time. Messages never come in when you keep checking. Gritting my teeth in frustration, the grinding sound of my dentition was punctuating my anger perfectly. Scarlet peeked over my shoulders. Gotten a response yet? Causing me to shriek, almost jumping out of my skin. The disadvantage of living with someone skilled in stealth. It was always impossible to know when she was coming, although I had advised her a bazillion times to tie a bell to her neck. Still no response, biting my inner cheek to diffuse my anger. I'm pretty sure he has read the message. Then why ignore me? Releasing a hump, I dropped the phone to the space beside me. Now I wasn't the only one occupying the couch. The phone was also my miserable company. How pathetic. Can't you see? He doesn't want to speak with you. She joined me to sit, shoving my phone aside for a brief second. This is not a pity party, Scarlett. Rolling my eyes at her, I retrieved my phone back into my grasp. I know he barely has time for me. There's no need for you to say it. As I had indirectly requested, she didn't bother with words. Instead, her hands rubbed my back, soothing my whimpering, but not doing much to ease the stab my heart felt, nor the tears rolling down my cheeks. A brief knock interrupted our emotional moment, needing attention. Wiping my tears, I'll get it. I stood up, trying to make it less obvious that I was just a few seconds away from breaking down into gentle sobs. Hey, Anika, Jake said bemusedly, wearing the brightest smile a man could possess. Almost immediately, my rage dissolved upon seeing him standing a few inches away from me at the other side of the door. That was until I remembered that he was the reason for the puffy eyes. Flicking my hands haughtily. It's good to see you still exist. In spite of myself, I stepped aside for him to come in. That's no way to say hello. He walked in, closing the door before I could change my mind. Especially not to someone you haven't seen in days. Without giving him time to say anything else, my arms crossed in a defensive stance and I finally got my rant off my chest. I don't think he has heard of the phrase, hell hath no fury like a scored woman. Whose fault is that? Clearly not mine. It beat me as to why my presumed boyfriend, partner, and supposed best friend wouldn't have the decency to act like a responsible human being, or at least one with enough courtesy to pick calls and answer texts. It seriously beats me. I'm trying to be responsible. That's why I have a job. Sadly, not all of us are entitled to the luxury of working from home like you. Surely you aren't blaming me for getting a job. It sounded like a child whose candy had just been stolen, whining and puckering his lips. It was quite unfortunate to realize that I have been dating a man-child all along, one that doesn't know which priorities to put first. Propping on hand on my waist, take a look at that box. I used the other to point to a wooden box at the far end of the room. What am I supposed to be looking at? His eyes followed me, met with a hinge board laying far off, completely forgotten. Do you know what's inside? A painting? It came in a month ago, but I cannot put it up because I have neither the physical strength nor height to bring it out of there, making sure my skull remained in place. I continued, I have been pleading with you for over a month to hang it for me. Instead, you have been way too busy to spare 5 minutes of your time to help. Heaven forbid I say we should go on a date. You have to check your schedule and set a date next year, and eventually it will get cancelled, just like you've been doing for months now. It's not like that, Nika. I've been busy holding up my hand. I interrupted just before he could finish. Busy? I know you remind me every single time I ask to spend some time with you. Nobody's ever too busy to make time for people they care about. Don't forget that. Also, on your way out, kindly shut the door from outside. With that, I stomped off, completely unbothered about the next word that his lips might form. You know that time when everyone gets upset and chaos was at its peak? Yes, that was my breaking point. Women definitely need and want psychological security. This has to do with the state of the mind. Women want to be secure in their minds. They want someone who can give them that shield or coverage over thoughts going through their minds. They want a person or man who can connect and relate with them at their mental level and be able to have a meaningful conversation with them. We know words are extremely important to women. They gauge and judge every word you say to them. They also feel the words. That is why it's extremely crucial you mind the words you say to them. They can be beaten and chastised by words, like what happened to Anika. While women on average have gone through so many difficulties and challenges, they need someone to give them succor. They need to feel and know that they are accepted and received as they are, not with any ulterior motive or agenda, but just on the basis of unconditional love. Looking at this psychological security, women will prefer men who are intelligent and as well cordial and accommodating, men who are easy to relate with and can be counted on. Women suffer this psychological security when they go through depression or post-traumatic stress disorder. At those moments, their mind is disconnected from people and reality, and it will only take someone who understands women's psychology and the concept of psychological security to bring them back to life. So I encourage men whose wives or women in their lives are going through such moments to be patient and calm with them. Give them all the attention and care they need, and it will only get better when you are able to share love with them and allow them to heal through whatever pains they might have incurred. Okay, so end of chapter 7. So I think this is the last chapter, the final chapter. Chapter 8, marital security. This is another form of security that women love a lot. They want to be secured in their marriage. They want their husband and children to be happy. They want their family to be good. If there's one thing that every married woman wants, it is to be happy in a marriage. Really, they want this and they need it, and it's a lot really for women. This is at the peak of their mind. To see a husband and children happy and everyone doing well. Women love this so much, and that is because and that is what they crave all the time in their marriage. For those who have divorced, it will definitely not be their choice or at least what they planned at the beginning of their marriage. But it happened, perhaps because there's no marital security. I had never seen a woman who wanted to leave a marriage because it is good. They only want to leave because it is bad, and they're trying to look for a better solution. Perhaps many things would have transpired in their marriage that made them feel hopeless or lost faith in their spouse. For women who are still very much interested in their marriage, they will do everything to secure it. They will go to any length, make any sacrifice to make sure they secure their marriage. Here is the case of Shade. Shade loved her family so much. She is a content creator online, a mother of two, and a lovely wife to her husband. She will wake up every morning, clean the house, cook the food, the breakfast, dress up the kids, and get them ready for school. Her husband handles the laundry and the garden. He also takes care of his car and electronic appliances in the house. When the kids are set, he will take them to school and go to his office. He will also bring them back in the evening when he's finished at work. Shade will be at home doing her online business. She's got a YouTube channel, a blog, and a couple of books she's working on. In between the time of her work at home, she will prepare the meal for the family and set everything in order in the house. When her husband and kids come back in the evening, she will serve the kids food and serve the food for herself and her husband together. On weekends, when everybody is home, they could play indoor or outdoor games, go shopping, or go watch movies. There's also time for reading and meditation in the house. There's a library where anyone can study, and tons of books are available on the shelf for reading. So it's such a beautiful, lovely home. After a while, Shade started noticing some strange behaviors from her husband. He goes out alone during weekends and comes back late. When she asks him, he will say he went to visit his friends. Then soon enough, he started showing other attitudes like being picky, nagging, and whining on every little thing. It seems someone is calling his attention outside. Shade thought to herself. Every time she wants to talk with him, he nags and finds every reason to dodge the conversation. She wouldn't want to inform anyone outside because she doesn't want him to be offended. She tried handling the matter by herself and find every way to resolve the problem. She discovered that it's the new set of friends that her husband is moving with that are corrupting and polluting his mind. She wouldn't want to talk directly to him about it, but she was being more loving and respectful to him. There are times when he will come back from work drunk, at the same time force her to have sex. She wouldn't mind. She kept enduring and endearing. At a point, she went to tell her parent-in-law about what was going on, and they told her they would talk to him. When her parent-in-law talked to her husband, he told them there's nothing going on, that everything is fine. And when he got home, he started chastising her and abusing her. She regretted of telling them. Meanwhile, when they came to their house, she told them they shouldn't just she told them they should just help her play with him and pacify him of whatever is making him angry. Shade's parent-in-law did. When they saw how gentle and mature she handled the matter, they decided to take the matter more seriously with her husband and began to advise him on from time to time and told him how lucky he was to have such a wife. One day, when he was at his office, he thought of all the good things his wife has done to him, even in the time of his ignorance. He felt sober and wept. He went back home that evening, begging his wife to forgive him for every wrong he has done to her. Shade wouldn't know what to say. She was wondering who talked to him or what came over him. She thought maybe he was just even pretending. But she summoned her and received him. She became so emotional and wept on his shoulder. Few minutes after, Sade's husband brought a gift and gave it to her. He wrapped it inside an envelope. Another surprise? Sade thought. On opening the gift, she felt something like a metal. What could this be? She opened in curiosity. She found a car key and a letter. What? What is this? A car key? To who? To me? Sade couldn't hold her feelings. She jumped up and landed on his chest with massive hugs, feeling so excited. When she calmed down and read the letter, it read, "For all you have done for me and our children, I will forever be grateful and love you so dearly, my love." Sade shed tears of joy. Ever since then, love has grown so dramatically in Sade's family, and her husband and children are cherishing her more. Our mom is such a great and lovely mother, our children said. Women want marital security. They need it. They want to keep their home. They want to do everything possible to avoid loopholes that could lead to separation or divorce. And they want to be assured that their husband is with them and is also committed to their marriage. They also want to be assured that the future holds good things for them and they will stay happy and fulfilled in their marriage. They also want to take care of their children and keep them safe. When you wonder why women who have children would prefer staying with their children than going to a nightclub or party, it is because they could sacrifice momentary pleasure over future gains. So they could just forget about the enjoyment at the moment and look forward for that future gains, for that future blessings. They could see their children as their best assets that no one could take away from them. And of course, their husbands, they cherish them so well and commit to loving and respecting them. Women, on average, don't joke with their marriage and family, and they do everything to secure it, including engaging other things that they have in their capacity to secure it. Alright, end of chapter 8. Conclusion. Reading this book has given better insight into understanding how the nature of women is and the concept of security for them. Oftentimes, we misunderstood women because we don't understand their nature and the peculiarity of how they think and act. But this book has brought light into those dark areas and has made clearer subjects about women that seem elusive to men. Alright, so that's the end of the book. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. You can share the book with your friends and family and women in your life. It's such a revelational and inspiring book. So thank you so much for listening and bye for now.